Greetings, everyone. My name is Jonathan Pflegl. Today I'll be interviewing Dr. Peter Fraser, the Director of the School of Communications and the Arts here at Regent University. First off, I want to say thank you, Dr. Fraser, for taking time out and joining us. Before I get into the interview, I just want to personally thank you for everything you've done here at the department and your hard work and dedication to Regent University. I'm finishing a degree here in communication, and I just wanted to say thank you for people like you who are making it possible for me.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Yeah. So to start off, what was your path toward Regent, like background?
I was an English major many years ago, and was also thinking of doing ministry. And while I was making that decision, I kept going with English. So I received a master's in literature from the University of Illinois in Chicago, went on for a PhD, also did theological training at Wheaton College along the way. Finally decided I could do more ministry without a collar on, so I went the academic route and just did a lot of things on the side. So we were, my wife and I, when we first got married, we were in a little Lutheran church just across the border in Wisconsin. We had originally lived in Chicago, couldn't afford it, so we went as far as we could to get a little house. And ended up getting a call from a Lutheran college in Milwaukee called Wisconsin Lutheran College. Served there for 6 years, went on to Grove City College for 2 years, then came back to Wisconsin Lutheran College for, it was about 9 years. In that second tenure at Wisconsin Lutheran, I was working in an urban church doing youth ministry in a very urban neighborhood with a lot of teens, and that led eventually to me taking over a school choice voucher high school for 3 years. So from 2007 to 2010, I was executive director of the Hope School in Milwaukee. Did a little teaching on the side, but that was a primary call. And you can only do that kind of work for so long. So I transitioned back to full-time university work, was fortunate enough to get a job offer from Regent, came here in 2010, and have been very fortunate to serve here ever since.
Oh, great. Next question. The main motto of Regent University is Christian leadership to change the world. How does the communication fit that vision?
Well, when you're talking about communicating, human interaction, is an embodiment of Jesus Christ, our Lord. When we are in those professions where we have a chance to build relationships with people, whether it's because we're putting together sort of advertising team or a strategic communication team, or working the field of journalism or film and TV, we're interacting with people all the time. It's not a profession where you're in a cubicle working in front of a screen. So when you're a Christian and you're in those situations, you can model the life of Christ. You pray every day. You build relationships God gives you. Love the people next to you, and it's a wonderful way of spreading the gospel. And that's certainly been my experience through the years.
Just how important is faith in God to good communication?
I don't think we really can communicate effectively at all without a basic understanding of who we are, how we're made, the purpose of life, the dignity of the individual. You made in the image of God. Forms the way I speak to you, I hope. The way you speak to me, it gives us boundaries for our conversation, principles by which we interact. So those who don't have that foundation, I think of George Orwell, who's somewhere said his image of the future was a boot stamping the human face forever. That when you don't have the basic understanding of why we're made living on this earth, human interaction becomes a power interaction. I think we're seeing that in the culture at large. So you see people as part of a power structure, and you're trying to get in the inner ring or work with it. And the ability to love people is greatly diminished because you need people to do X for you, and so I just think that eventually, without the understanding of our role in creation, you have a devolution of culture and people interacting as sort of hostile forces coming together, and eventually probably a return to some primitive tribal sort of state.
What would be like one key aspect of Christian leadership that somebody ought to have, like specifically in like communication, in the field of communication?
Honesty. We have to speak the truth. We have to speak the truth in love, but we have to speak the truth, whether that is in the way we report, in journalism, or in creative projects when we, redesign creation in a artwork, a film, a painting, whatever it is. If you don't tell the truth about what life really is in this fallen world, and we're crying out for grace, I don't think you can ever accomplish very much. And great art always speaks the truth, whether people are fully informed, about the gospel or not. That's what it always does. And likewise, again, in our culture, I think you see what happens when people aren't concerned about the truth. They're concerned about advancing a certain power group in a political cause.
And the last thing I'd like to ask you, what advice would you give to a newly minted Christian journalist in pursuing a career?
That Christ is with you. The journalism profession, the journalist's trade, is greatly under fire right now, clearly, because of the fake news phenomenon, the sort of expose of the various corporate interests that have created the narratives that have gone for news, plus all the scandals that are going on right now. I think it'd be a tough time to step into a career like that as a Christian, in one sense, because culturally there seems to be a diminishing of the value of journalism, and it's and you can work hard. Like any profession, you just work your way up the chain by faithful service and use your influence to bring about good.
All right. Thank you very much for your time, Doctor.
Thank you, sir.